Those who came before us made certain that the art community rode the first waves of cameras, the first waves of digital art form, and the first wave of Photoshop, and this generation does not intend to founder in the backwash of the coming age of AI. We mean to be a part of it, and we mean to lead it.
In case you don't know, I looked up John F. Kennedy's quotes, or any quotes about the Industrial Revolution, and tried to reframe it that way. So in case you're curious, that's where it's from. I didn't make that quote by myself. Anyway, welcome to another episode of Introverts. Today we are redrawing artwork from 8 years ago. I think 7 to 8 years ago. It was back in the days where I used the student prize for Photoshop and then don't really know what to do about it. And so what happens is I would draw everything in one layer, and then it's not good enough, and I stack it up another layer to adjust it, and another layer and another layer. And what happens is there's tons of layer for adjustments, but it doesn't really look particularly presentable. And so what happens is 7 years later to the present time, I'm going to redraw everything. The first part you saw is just me deciding the pose, because I'm following exactly the methodology I would use when I'm doing character art these days. I want to do it the best I can so that I can compare it to the best I can today and the best I can from 7 years ago, which I think the result is pretty uplifting to see what my skills have developed over the span of so many years. So we'll start by deciding the pose. There's so many dynamic poses I really like, but decided on this particular one because it showcases the entire front of the character. Some of the poses I would consider as well if I'm really doing some character design, but for example, if the character is all hunched over and you can't see the front, I really can't compare it to the 7 year ago old artwork where I showcase the front of the character, and you compare the clothes, the skirt, the hat and everything. But there are still some design changes. But the overall color, the hair, she's got a hat with goggles for some reason. Never to be used. The skirt is different. I think the old work is that she's actually wearing a flowing pink skirt, but this time it looks more like she is holding a cloth around her waist that is not really attached to her outfit. Every key element is still in place, and I proceeded with drawing character pose. That itself is really that much of a problem. I should compare a little bit about the difference between my old artwork and my new art right over here. My old artwork doesn't really have any style at all. The only style I know is really just from traditional art, maybe drawing acrylic painting back when I was in secondary school. And so, yeah, that's really it. I never really get into anime drawing, except for the first 1 or 2 years when I started discovering what is digital art. Back in the DeviantArt days when I revealed how old I am saying DeviantArt, what? I've never heard of this thing for 10 years. There was a lot of anime art back then. A lot of amateur artists, especially, including myself, would be drawn to that style. First and foremost, it is kind of simple. You can really see the steps. First off, you draft, and then you line work, and then you cell shade. Yeah, but I don't particularly like that. I was very drawn to the Western video game art. I don't know what the style is called. Basically, it's just like the new artwork, the LOL splash art style, and maybe some concept art style. Well, it was concept art was also one of the keywords that I'm very interested in back in the day. Except that because I was such an amateur, I see a splash of colors on the canvas and was like, I can never learn from that. Especially, imagine a little potato of a kid who just draw line art, draw animes, and they see those Assassin's Creed concept art. You can only admire from afar. You can't really try. You don't even know where to start to learn those things, except pay money for online course and that back in DeviantArt years, you don't really have access to those stuff. And so, yeah, now it's I think that I have achieved what I wanted. Of course, there are still things to be improved on. I really want to get a better drawing background. There's so many stuff, like a whole world of art open to me as soon as I reach a certain level. Learning curve where you stop in the middle, you might got stuck, and then once you got, I don't know, enlightened at some point, you'll find that, oh, there's a whole new path ahead, and there's so many things more to learn from, and then you just go upward again. Anyway, yeah, and also the tools. I don't know if I said it before. I used Photoshop using the student prize back then. I remember it was CS 5 to 6 back then. Yeah. Except when I graduated and I don't have a student card, a student email anymore, I have to pay full price for each of the Adobe software, and I was like, nope, I won't. Nope. I moved on to Clip Studio because it is one-off. You paid one time and you have it. Except that they're now opening subscription. I don't know what it is. I'm not going to entertain that for now. Anyway. Now that I'm used to Clip Studio Paint, I almost forgot about how Photoshop interface was like. Anyway, but I remember when I was using Photoshop, there's a particular brush that I prefer. Like I still have this bad habit of not being able to switch brush. And I love this brush so much. I'm just gonna use it for everything. I'm still trying to get used to, oh, I need to press A for airbrush. 7 years ago, I was using some very blendable brush, and now I'm primarily using a square brush. In the old days, I want to find a square brush as well because I saw those professional concept artists. They also uploaded their time-lapse, and I saw that this is square. Will you draw squares? It's so flat. Where can I find it? And I can't find it on DeviantArt. Just forgot about it for a long time, and then now I got it. I'm gonna hold on to it. And also the difference between the two artwork is the feeling that I have, particularly the negative feelings that I have for these two artwork. The old one, of course, I was frustrated because I had a vision in mind, but I can't really execute it. I can't really make the character art look pretty, so to speak. I was under the impression if I draw without paying so much attention, without like, oh, I need to draw this well, just be calm, I'm gonna do it well, but still, it just came out not so presentable, and it's been thrown to my scrap folder for 7 years. But for this particular artwork, my frustration comes from the lack of patience. Now that I know so many skills, I know how to render stuff, it actually takes longer for me to finish this artwork. Before, approximately, I would be able to finish stuff by 7 to 8 hours. Now it's like more than 10 hours, but I don't really count. So whenever someone comes to ask me how long did I take to draw this, which is like, maybe 8 hours, but I know deep down that it's gonna be much more. And so the frustration is that the longer I took, the more I want to leave. I have less motivation. I want to move on to something else. When am I gonna start finishing? There's so many rendering. I'm rendering the hat. Oh my god, the feet. The shoes also need rendering. And it was like, this is endless. I want to stop now. That is one of my weaknesses. And especially now that I'm back at school, it takes maybe this particular day I can draw maybe 1 to 2 hours, and I need to cut it off. I need to work on something else, and then maybe a few days later I come back. But the difference is that the more sessions it take, instead of me sitting down for maybe 5 to 7 hours just working on an artwork, I break it off to different sections. For me personally, it's actually very draining because it takes so many days to finish. Drawing is such a relaxing thing to do, and I will come back to draw only to find out that this is the exact same artwork that I did maybe a month prior, and it's going to be rather draining. I'm still thinking of ways to deal with that. If you have any ideas, feel free to comment below. I am genuinely curious, do you sit down and you would rather spend a lot of time to finish an artwork, Or would you rather break it off in sections? I understand that people might prefer break it into sections because sitting down for a long time is painful for your pelvis or your thigh. You get sacral ulcer. I just learned that in class. Sacral ulcer. And the approach is different. The approach of the artwork. You clearly see from this video how different the draw compared to in the past where I just splash the canvas with colors. But I want to talk about the similar thing between these two is that I still would prefer to go ahead and use color brush instead of doing line work. I just hate line works from the bottom of my guts. So even when I was back in the day when I'm not quite used to drawing, with color theory, shading, rendering, textures, everything, and would still stick to jumping right off to the coloring stage. And now I'm doing the same. I may have like a grayscale step in the middle, but I never draw lines. I know that some artists, some semi-realistic style artists also draw lines and then they color. I was thinking, what's the point? You're gonna color over it. Why do you need to still draw the lines if it's not going to show at the end or show very little? I think that happens with both semi-realistic artists and also semi-realistic style artists. Not that the artist is semi-realistic, and also some anime, some very very good anime style artists. Those that draw very detailed characters and background also. Use line art and then color it this way. To each their own. I'm very very pleased with what I came up with. This particular character artwork is actually much more detailed than that like few months ago there's some maybe personal project character art that I did. I'm sorry to say that it might even look better than some of my commission artwork. But it's been a year. So it's natural, right, that my most recent artwork is my best artwork. It'll be very interesting for you to do the same as well. This whole thing started when I started cleaning my scrap folder and I fished out this Photoshop file which has this ugly little old artwork. And I was thinking, I like doing character art these days. Character portraits or something. I could use this because I don't have any idea of who to draw these days. I stopped drawing fan art. No, it's not that I stopped drawing fan art. It's like I draw much less fan art than I did when I was a wee lad. And do you know whose fault is that? School makes me play less video games and I have less character to look at and therefore less fan art. I already draw very few fandom, like stick to few fandom and then just continue drawing Hades. I drew Hades and perhaps Hades. I did draw Animal Crossing, which is a leap. Anyway, that is the end of the video. And so the moment of truth, actually not the moment of truth, you already seen the full artwork at the beginning of the video, but here is the side-by-side comparison of the artwork. Thank you for watching. It is 7th of September 2025 on Sunday in Hong Kong. The current temperature is 27.9 degrees Celsius. There is occasional shower. The UV index is 3, moderate. In the past few hours, the typhoon will continue to track northwestward, so bring an umbrella when you go outside. Thank you and see you next time.